Today we are going to focus on a different crafting technique in the Sugaridoo Bernina quilt along. We're going to make the row called cross stitch. Hi there and welcome to part 9 in the Sugaridoo Bernina quilt along. Today we're going to make row 3, so the third row of our quilt, and it's called cross stitch. So we have this row with all the cross stitches and maybe French knots if you're familiar with embroidery and cross stitching. So that's what we will be making. We're going to make 6 blocks in our main color, and then one of them is going to be in our accent color. The technique for this block is foundation paper piecing. So I hope you're all ready and set to start making part 9 in the Sugaridoo Bernina quilt along. Let's see what we need for this row. So here we have everything we need today. I have my ironing board, my fabrics, nicely matching my nail polish today. I have my pattern pieces, so section A, B and C. I have a scissor, rotary cutter, this is paper scissors, at a quarter ruler, a pen, 2-inch rulers. I have a short one and a long one, but you can use either one. And I'm going to use freezer paper. And of course, my 770, that is going to help me sew. I'm going to use freezer paper today, but if you prefer the other method of doing foundation paper piecing on normal paper or tea bag paper, feel free to do that. That's also perfectly fine. We've now already done foundation paper piecing a few times, so I'm not going to go over the whole technique of sewing the pieces together, but I am going to show you more an overview of how I keep structured and how I work in batches. So first cutting everything, sorting everything out. So yeah, I'm just going to show that in a little bit more detail. But the technique for this, so foundation paper piecing on either freezer paper or tea bag paper, I will link in the Bernina blog post to those techniques from the previous rows. So if you have questions about it, just hop back to those videos to see how you did it again. So in this video, I'm just going to give you some tips and tricks on how to stay organized while making this row. So let's see, where do we start? I have everything on my sewing table. Always start with a cup of tea. And after that, the first step in this process is transferring my pattern to my freezer paper. So I'm going to do that. And what we will be making is this block as a in-between block, and this one as the cross stitch block. So I have to make 6 of these and 7 of these. I could do with 1 times the freezer paper, but I'm just going to make 2 of every section. That just works a little bit quicker when making it, because then I can sew 6 sections at once. But before we dive into that, first transfer our pattern to our paper. Everything is transferred to freezer paper, so now I'm going to fold it. Moving on, next step in the process is cutting these patterns up to template pieces. This pattern is very symmetrical, so we only need to cut these template pieces. So from section A you need to cut all 5 pieces, and from section B you only need to cut B1, B5 for your main fabric, and then B3 and B2 in background fabric. And that's everything you need to make all 3 sections. All template pieces are cut, so now it's time to take out our fabric and cut some pieces. And also for cutting my fabric, I try to approach it with cutting everything that I need from one color and then everything that I need from a different color, and kind of puzzle my template pieces on my fabric so that I cut it efficiently. So here we have the fabric in my main color, and these are the pieces that I need to make the cross stitch block. And I need this piece, I do need 6 times, and this one I need 12 times. And the fabric is still folded double, so when I'm laying this over here, I can see that it kind of fits nicely to have those two like this. And if that wouldn't have fit, then I could have placed it like this and then repeated 6 times. But I guess now I'm just going to cut 3 like this, so that gives me already 6 of these and 6 of these. There we go. Just moving the template, and then I'll just stack this on top of each other to cut it. So here we have already 6 of those, 12 of those and 6 of these. Oh, but I'm cutting too much, of course, because I'm going to make 1 in my accent fabric. So I only need 5 of those and 10 of those. Whoops. So I need 10 of those, so maybe I can cut 1 of these up. So this was 6, 7, 8, 2 more. And then this little piece A1 needs to be cut 7 times. There we go, that is 7 pieces. And as you see, I leave my template piece on top of it so that I know what is what. Let's move on to cutting my background fabric. And there we have all the pieces of fabric that we need to start sewing. And every time I switch from a task to another, it's a great moment to look around at my table at what I can clean up, what I don't need anymore. So I can clean away, so I can store away my paper scissors, my pen, the fabric and paper scraps that are laying around over here. So I can store those away so that my table is getting a little bit cleaner, more empty, and keeps everything a little less chaotic. So all the materials that I need to make my row are now prepared. So time to set up my assembly line. And over here I have my ironing board, my iron, because I'm doing the foundation paper piecing technique on freezer paper. I need to iron a lot, so that's close by. Then in the middle I have my cutting table, well, my cutting mat, and then my sewing machine, so that I can move around from one station to the next and sew my blocks that way. And as I said in the beginning, I made 2 pattern pieces for every section. So I have 2 times the block that goes in between, and also 2 times the other block. And that way I can start by making 6 blocks. So what I do then is I take the first piece for every section and I iron it on all the paper pieces. Let me do that. So there I have 6 pattern pieces with fabric ironed onto it. And the main reason why I think this is effective is that you have to switch less between your different stations. So I can stay longer at my ironing board, ironing 6 times instead of 3 times. So that's why I like to work this way. But if you want to go block by block, that's completely fine. Especially when you're new to quilting, slow down, and slow down even a little bit more, because it's not about speed. But if you have done a technique many times before and you just like to get your blocks done quickly and see result and get to work on another project the same day, yeah, then you can try batching and working like this. So now I'm going to find the second fabric piece for each of these pattern pieces and go to my sewing machine, iron, trim it off with my add a quarter ruler, add a fabric. So the whole process of making the blocks is going to start. And the technique behind this is explained in 3 rows that we did earlier with foundation paper piecing. So if you want to know the technique, hop over to those videos. And for now, let's speed things up and make some blocks. Now some of my pattern pieces are already done, so this little section is already done, these two, and I'm not going to square them off yet. I'm just going to set them aside and finish my other 4 pattern pieces, and when all 6 of them are done, then I'm going to square everything off. All my sections are done, so I have 7 of these, and I have 6 of these and 6 of these. And now first I'm going to join these together, and then it's already time to assemble the row. So making these sections, that's the most of the work, I think. So the way that I'm going to assemble them is just center one of these triangles on top of this section. So laying it out on my table and centering it and lining up the edges. And then also this square, I look at those sewing lines and see if they match up with the seam over here. So that's how I put those together. You can stick a pin in it if you want to. I think it will be fine like this, so I'm just going to take it to my sewing machine and sew that together. And that should be the first cross stitch block finished. Yay, there it is! Cross stitch block done. So I'm just going to give this a press and then sew the other 5. Just want to see how this comes together. Oh, I really like it. So there we have the very first cross stitch block sewn and pressed. And that's going to be alternating with these little blocks in between. Yeah, so let's make these 5 blocks and then assemble the row. Yay! All blocks done. Yeah, time to sew them together. It's just alternating this one and then the cross stitch block. And the accent block is going to be the second one from the left. So there we go. Let's see they do have a direction because these two are squares and this is a triangle. So I think I'm just going to point them all in the same direction. And there we go, all in the same direction. And now I can just chain piece this. So I'm going to sew a in-between block to every cross stitch block and chain piece that. It's done! Ta-da! There it is! Row number 3 in our quilt along. Part 9 already. Only 3 parts left to sew. It's done. The row called cross stitch. I really like it and I think it will look great with all the other rows. It's so much fun to see all your quilts come together. Some of you are already sewing the sashing in between the rows that already can be sewn together. I think that's awesome and it looks so cool. All the quilts and all the different fabric choices. Really a lot of fun to see you participate in this and also push through and catch up if you fall behind. It's really cool. I just wanted to I just wanted to say that you're doing such an amazing, good job at participating in this. Yeah, so thank you for joining in the quilt along, and only 3 more rows to go after this one. So that's it for this row. Have fun with it, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye!